Today's bear attack takes us to Denali National Park in central Alaska. The lush forest of aspen and spruce trees surround the hiking trails, with hikers being allowed to view moose, caribou, and sheep that wander the area as they climb the trails. The hikers' least worries are running into predators of this area, which are mainly wolves, bobcats, black bears, coyotes, lynx, and even brown bears. On July 21, 1972, a 22-year-old man named Chris Cauble was enjoying a hike by himself along the Toklat River, which is about 1 mile south of the Denali Park Highway. As Chris navigated through the park, he moved with caution to ensure he didn't surprise any grizzly bears that might be feeding on salmon or berries along the river. About a half a mile ahead of him, he saw a massive grizzly stand up from the plants around it. After seeing this, Chris immediately tried to find a wide route around the bear to avoid an encounter, so he decided on a path and headed in that direction. He hoped to find a spot uphill from the bear and watch it for a while, but got very curious and tried to get closer, but remaining far enough so that the bear didn't spot him. The grizzly bear was only about 100 yards away and suddenly started making its way towards Chris, with cubs following in its steps. Chris was filled with terror as he watched the mother grizzly bear suddenly look in his direction. Her intense gaze let Chris know that she was aware of his presence and also not happy about it. After only a few seconds of the stare down, the sow planted her back feet into the soil and took a few steps towards Chris, who immediately started to back up and yell, with hopes that this was a bluff charge and only a safety procedure that the bear uses to protect its cubs. Chris made his way down the hill as fast as he could, trying to get as far away from the bears as he could. The sow covered the 100 yards between them in what is believed to be only 4 seconds. As soon as she got close to Chris, she began swatting him with her massive paws, pushing Chris onto his back. He immediately knew his best chance for survival would be to roll over on his stomach and remain still. He flipped over and covered his head and face with his arms in hopes of preventing more damage done to him. Once face down, Chris could feel the angry sow slashing his back and biting anything her jaws could handle, which was sadly any part of Chris's human body. Just as he felt the sow's teeth on the back of his head, the sow disappeared. Chris could feel his blood leaking from wounds all over his body, while waiting on another attack which never came. Chris listened for any sign that the bears were nearby, but was met with nothing but silence. Chris slowly rose to his knees, but searched repeatedly to make sure his hopes were still alive. Chris made the decision that his wounds weren't bad enough to not continue hiking, so he quickly made his way back to the hiking trail, which would take about a mile of traveling to reach the road. Chris began on his journey while watching his back every step of the way. Once he made it out, Chris was able to flag down other visitors and got transported to the hospital. After hearing about this story, I have a few questions to ask you. Would you consider hiking in Denali National Park? Do you think the cubs will repeat the vicious cycle of attacking them leaving? And how much more damage could the saw have done to Chris? I would love it if you could answer these questions in the comment section down below, and I'll be glad to meet you there. Thanks for watching, and remember to be careful in bear country.